In today's episode, we're going to talk about the housing market and how it might be cooling off, and we're going to talk about innovation. Enjoy.
Were you calling to me from outside of a dream? I wanna live, I wanna love you a little longer. I was invincible many years ago when I was so much stronger.
Thank you so much for listening to The Age of Jeremy. My name is Jeremy Quintanilla. I'm the founder and CEO of Q Consolidated Limited. We focus on investing and creating businesses in media and entertainment, finance, investing, and insurance, education and e-learning, art, music, and the humanities, earth and human sustainability and advancement, and earth and space exploration and transportation. Our current businesses include 3T Warrior Academy, Q Financial, Age of Radio, and Merlin, the smartest way to track your crypto. You can find me on all socials at Age of Jeremy, except on X, it is Age of Jeremy Q, and on Facebook, it is Cesar Jeremy Quintanilla. You can also check out my YouTube at Age of Jeremy, and also make sure that you check out the Age of Radio YouTube as well at Age of Radio Verse. If you are new to this podcast, this is all of the trials and tribulations that I go through to build my business empire, and I hope you pick up some wisdom along the way. I also have guests that share their trials and tribulations, becoming content creators and the adventures they have gone through to become entrepreneurs. Also, too, I want to let you know that if you are listening to this on Wednesday, May 22nd, we will be having a webinar through Coach JV _ social media channels every Wednesday at 8 Eastern to learn about our 3T Warrior Academy. Also, too, I am building up our Q Financial business. So there is a form or a link to a form in the episode description if you want to ask me questions about investing, taxes, insurance, bookkeeping, accounting. We offer a whole suite of services at Q Financial, and we are now starting to push this out into the universe. So check out that form if you are interested in learning more about that. If you hear me sniffling a lot, I do apologize. I was in Virginia this last week, and I think I might have picked up a cold, or my sinuses have changed because of the weather, or because of my sleeping pattern, or the massage that I got yesterday, or the yoga that I did yesterday. But through something, my sinuses are crazy today, so my sincere apologies. Tomorrow, Thursday, May 23rd at 5 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to be going live in our Age of Radio Instagram. That is at Age of Radioverse. And there are links to all these things in the episode description. I'm going to go live, talk about the benefits of Age of Radio, what Age of Radio does. And I'm going to be bringing in creator Trey so we can test some interviewing type of stuff. He's going to be talking about the updates in our Age of Radio Discord, which he is doing a fantastic job. He is our community manager because I am working to build a strong community of content creators, which brings me to one of the problems that I'm thinking in my mind is, should we keep the name of it Addicted to Podcasting? Because it is all about content creation and pushing social media. I, again, am on this journey of networking and building strong relationships and doing that in person and through virtual lives and through social media. So I've been working on that diligently to get better at that. And that's why we're going to be doing so many more lives. I have done more lives in this past month than I have done probably all year long. And so we'll also be going live in our podcast host Facebook group. If you're part of our podcast host for Age of Radio, we'll also be going live in our Addicted to Podcasting Facebook group, maybe, or we'll just keep that on the Instagram live. And I'm starting to work on some other really great shows to showcase and bring the people that are not only the people in our Addicted to Podcasting Facebook group to showcase them, but also to showcase other people on our Instagram live. So that being said, I hope that you enjoy me for all of these amazing things because we have so much amazing stuff going on. We're adding more and more people to the team every day, and I'm really, really excited. And again, with the insurance piece of it, that we're growing with the insurance and the financial piece, I'm really excited for everything that we have going on. But that being said, let's go ahead and jump into this episode because I have a lot of great fun stuff to talk about. And the first thing that I want to talk about is the U.S. existing home sales are unexpectedly falling. Prices stay high, but Contracts closing dropped 1.9% to 4.14 million rate last month. Median selling price rose to 407,000, which is ridiculous. That is the median house cost to purchase a house. And that's about right, because then I'm trying to look for another property to purchase here in Arizona, because I'm really working on building a real estate portfolio. By the time I am a 50 to 55, I want to have apartment buildings. I want to have commercial properties. I want to have orchards and apple orchards as well. I'm really focusing on real estate over the next 15 years. And so that is one of the biggest things that I am focusing on. And that is why we are pushing so hard on a lot of these businesses to get some more cash injection, more cash, or find more investors to invest in a lot of these properties. But that is where I'm going, because I believe that this is going to fall. Prices are going to come down a little bit. Not like we saw in the 2008 recession, but they're going to pull back. And I want to be in a prime spot to purchase as that happens over the next couple of years. And that is what I'm really, really focused on. I have 2 properties in line right now that I'm trying to get in line to purchase. One of them is to get a home for my mother on this side of town. We'll rent out the townhouse that we own, which she is currently living in. And then the other one is to make sure that I'm in a prime spot to purchase my grandparents' house when they are ready to sell it, or when they pass away. Namo Amida-butsu. Now, that being said, this is an article from Michael Sasso. Again, I am not sponsored by Bloomberg, but again, I encourage you to read news. I read some great articles in The Economist when I was flying. I read The Economist and flying when I was flying back from Virginia. I got to spend some time reading the Wall Street Journal, reading The Economist, which I subscribe to both of those, and I love them. I also subscribe to Bloomberg. I listen to Bloomberg Radio. I listen to Bloomberg Live. I'm a big Bloomberg fan just in general, not necessarily of Michael Bloomberg, but of Bloomberg products and the brands that he has created over this time. And one day I would love to have their terminal service to make sure that I'm getting that news updates as well. But this comes from Michael Sasso. So make sure that you follow him if you're on Bloomberg to see all the great articles that he writes. But sales of U.S. existing homes unexpectedly fell for a second month in April, adding to evidence that the resale market is struggling for traction amid near record prices and high borrowing costs. Contract closings decreased 1.9% from a month ago to a 4.14 million annualized rate, according to National Association of Realtors data. And again, one of the things that I like to do when I'm reading these is like National Association of Realtors data. I now grabbed that link. I grabbed that name. I threw that in a link. I now saved that link so I had access to the National Research of Realtor data so that I could become a member of that, or whatever that entails. Because again, really over the next 15 years, we're really focusing on real estate. And probably after that, the reason why I say 15 years is that it'll give us time to get our processes in place, get the real estate growing, everything along those lines. Because again, I'm obviously on my way to the billions dollar status, and focused on space exploration and all of those business things that I mentioned before. So there's a lot of things that go into that, and it's not going to happen overnight. And I am 100% okay with that. So contracts closing decreased 1.9%. The figure trailed the median estimate of 4.23 million in a Bloomberg survey of economists. Now, this is a quote from NAR chief economist Lawrence Yun. Home prices reaching a record high for the month of April is very good news for homeowners. However, the pace of price increases should taper off since more housing inventory is becoming available, right? So the pace of the price increases is going to fall because more and more housing inventory is becoming available. So just like with most markets, when that housing inventory increases, there is more, I guess, supply than demand, and that prices are going to drop. The nascent recovery in demand from a 13-year low in October is being hindered by a limited inventory that's keeping asking prices elevated. In early 2021, annualized sales were running more than 2 million above the current pace, while mortgage rates were around 3% compared with 7% now. Mortgage rates remained at about 7% for a 7th straight week, which is ridiculous, but not as ridiculous as it used to be back in the 80s when it was like 20% or something ridiculous for a mortgage. But then again, the mortgages, here's the thing. Mortgages should essentially only be the price of what someone makes in a year. So if you make $100,000 a year, that's essentially the mortgage that you should be able to afford. And that is ridiculous now, because now the median house price is $407,000. Now, It's 7% for a seventh straight week, according to the latest figures from the Mortgage Bankers Association. Until inflation moves closer to their goal, Federal Reserve policymakers have indicated they're in no rush to lower borrowing costs. And I don't know when they're going to get inflation under control, because both of these people that are running for office, I don't have much faith in either of them. Obviously, me being a liberal, I would more support a liberal leader, but I'm not really happy with either this administration, and I was definitely not happy with the previous administration. Inventory has edged up a bit in recent months as some sellers decide they can't postpone their moves any longer, according to Yun. Still, it remains well below pre-pandemic levels. The supply of homes on the resale market increased more than 16% in April from the same month last year to 1.21 million. At the current sales pace, selling all the properties on the market would take 3.5 months. Realtors see anything below 5 months of supply as indicative of a tight market. So we are in a tight market. Now let's talk a little bit about the selling price. The median selling price increased 5.7% from a year ago to $407,600, the highest for any April in data back to 1999. Unlike in the new home market, where rising inventories and the prevalence of incentives by builders have pushed prices down on an annual basis, the home resale market is experiencing rising year-over-year price growth. Unfortunately, prices continue, and this is quotes, unfortunately, prices continue to rise, further pushing the opportunity away from lower income and even middle income Americans, said Robert Frick, corporate economist at Navy Federal Credit Union. The only real relief to the situation will come from the Fed cutting rates later this year, which will eventually filter through to mortgage rates. Again, lower income individuals are essentially being completely priced out of the home market, which means that we as a community have to figure out a way to make sure that people can get houses. Not necessarily, I guess homes and houses can be used. There's a really good George Carlin quote where he's not, people don't need homes, they just need houses, they need roofs over their heads. And essentially, we're really pricing people out of this because of the fact that our real estate is a market that is an investor market, and that causes a problem. About 68% of the homes sold were on the market for less than a month, up from 60% in March, while more than a quarter sold above the list price. The NAR's report also showed properties remained on the market for 26 days on average in April, down from 33 a month earlier and typical during the spring selling season. Sellers received an average of 3.2 offers. And again, economists' estimates have been off a little bit, but that's because they tend to base their projections on the pending home sales report, which measures contract signings. Contract signings rose in February and March. In addition to the larger sample size in the existing home sales report, Yun said that signings don't always translate to closings because of things like home inspection, contingencies, appraisals, and potential issues with mortgage lenders. There could also be skittishness among buyers having second thoughts, Yun said. Existing home sales account for the majority of U.S. housing and are calculated when a contract closes. The government releases April new home sale figures on, this was back in April. I think this was, what was this? March data? May 2020. No, this was May 22nd. So I don't know what Thursday they're talking about in this article. So let's just it releases April's tomorrow. So the government's going to release the April new home sales figures on May 23rd. So they'll do it probably that second to last week every month from the previous month's numbers. So one of the great things is to kind of look for these because you can get an idea of how the housing market is doing. And that is, again, another indicator of our economy here in the United States. So we will be right back after these messages. I bought this Lectern flip pad a while ago. It's yellow, as you might know. Yellow is one of my favorite colors, yellow and purple. And if you ever want to know why yellow and purple are my favorite colors, it's because I love Willy Wonka. He is my hero. I'm just kidding. Originally how it started was I started a vending machine company, which eventually I'll probably still do, but that's where I was started. So around the time that we started JV Impacts, I was starting to get into investing in vending machines. And the reason why I was saying that was because I was flipping through this pad. Anyway, so I got this cool lectern flip pad. Let me go back to the vending machines. And so when I was looking at that, there is Wonka Wash, which is a scene in Willy Wonka. I think he says Hisaka now, or I forgot how it said, but it's Wash a Wonk spelled backwards. And so I created this business that was going to be called that. And we were going to get into vending machines and different types of snow cones and some other, uh, the companies that have the snow cones for sale that they I forgot the name of the company. It was on my old vision board, and I'm going to put it on my new vision board because eventually we'll get to that stage. It's just that, again, a lot of my focus is going into the financial services business, into JV Impacts at the time, obviously, which is now 3-2 Academy, and then into Merlin and to Blockheads and building that into a large institution. And so when I was thinking of that, I was like, oh, what could we make the colors? Well, since the name was taken from Willy Wonka, we'll go ahead and use the Willy Wonka colors. And so when I transitioned over to the Age of Jeremy, I just went ahead and kept those same colors. And now everything's yellow, and I have this yellow lectern. And lectern is a famous German notepad company, and I love the flip one. So I have this flip one that I was starting to put really ideas that I had in, and I got to get back to that, but taxes happened and life happened and stuff happens, and now the year's half over, and we're kicking ass. But I have not went back and started adding more ideas into this. And when I was doing that, when I was writing down my ideas in this pad, just any innovative ideas that I had or just thinking about stuff, my creative juices were flowing. And so what I wanted to talk a little bit about today was why innovation is so important and how we can move our innovation and our creativity forward by doing things like called a Think Week. And so one of the things that I want to get into on a regular basis is taking a week off to just think of new ideas. And if you're unfamiliar with what a Think Week is, it's something that Bill Gates used to do. He would go to one of his cabins in a lake that was on Washington or something, and he would sit for a week, and he would just essentially, it's what it sounds like, he would just think about stuff. Think Week is a dedicated period, like I said, usually lasting a week, where you intentionally disconnect from daily distractions such as email and social media to focus solely on deep thinking, brainstorming, and planning. Again, it was inspired by Bill Gates. It was a time to step outside the day-to-day demands and work and engage in creative reflection. And so one of the things that I think we're missing here in the United States, and I would like to encourage everybody to do, is to be focus really on creating more innovation. If we are not innovating, we're dying. And one of the problems that I see is unless it's not in my realm of what I'm seeing in the world and what I'm doing in the world, we are not innovating the same way that we used to. And I was listening to an interview from the founder of Scale AI today. I forgot his full name. I think it's Andrew Wang, if I'm not mistaken. And his parents were physicists at a nuclear power plant in New Mexico, I believe. And his parents used to say that the greatest defense that the United States or any government can have is by having people that innovate. Because when you are innovating, you are creating something new in the world, and those new inventions go into keeping the economy moving forward, and then also innovating on, protecting ourselves and moving our country forward. And that's one of the things that we need to have inside of our families. We need to have inside of our businesses. We need to have inside of our governments, because if we're not innovating, we're dying, and we are not going to have the best line of defense against anything if we're not innovating. Right. And because that line of defense can go to a family, can go to a business, it can go to government, because that line of defense is, how are we moving our family, our business, our world forward? And so one of the things that we can do to boost creativity is, the one thing that I want to say is generate lots of ideas. And that's the reason why I have this pad. So for instance, in here, I talk about our Age of Radio podcast app, the things that I want it to do, things that might be realistic, things that might not be realistic, or not realistic right now. The other things that I have in here are ideas for different types of newsletters that I can do on LinkedIn. I have drawings of how the apps will work. I have drawings of how I want the RSS feeds to work in there. I have notes on how to grow my Age of Jeremy brand, and the Q Consolidated brand or the Quintanilla Consolidated brand of businesses over time. And what's great about it is a lot of these ideas that I kind of have in here for the lives and for what we're trying to do with transparency and being out to the public, those are things that I'm working on or doing right now. And so you're also writing down things that will eventually exist in the future. So I would get a flip pad and I would spend time once a week just going through it and jotting down ideas, or anytime that you have an idea or have a spot time for 30 minutes where you are just thinking of innovative things that you want to do for your brand, for your business, how you're going to go out there in the world, things that you want to learn, all those things, because that gets those creative juices flowing. The other thing that I think is really, really good is before we get into the think week concept a little bit more, is that one of the things that we do in corporations is we do this thing called strengths finders. And so it's built off of this concept that we tend to focus on our weaknesses, where what we should be doing is focusing on our core strengths by doing activities that can make them better. And then also cross training in other things that we're kind of really strong in, but not as strong as our main strength, and making those things stronger because it will make us stronger, and not really focus on our weaknesses unless it's a weakness that Strength Finders calls a fatal flaw. So Strength Finders was a Gallup poll that was done. Gallup is a survey polling company that a lot of companies use. And they have this, there's a book that goes with it. It's called Exceptional Leadership, and then Strength Finders 2.0 are the two books that kind of go along with this concept. And so with Strength Finders 2.0, hold on, grab my notes here. So formally is a paid online assessment. It was developed by Gallup. So what it does, it measures your innate talents and it ranks them in order of 34 different themes. Okay. And so the assessment is based on positive psychology, emphasizing that focusing on your strengths leads to tremendous success and satisfaction. So rather than fixing weaknesses, Clifton Strengths helps you identify and maximize your unique combination of talents, knowledge, and skills. And so I don't remember exactly what mine are. In fact, I'm going to probably do this again and make this a core thing that we do across our organizations and businesses so we can really focus on growing ourselves. Because one of the things that kind of happened before I go back into this is that one of the things that happened when we went to doing 3-2 Warrior Academy full time is that we originally we weren't focusing on ourselves. We were just trying to figure out how to run a fucking business, which makes sense. But as the business gets stabilized, we started going inward on our personal lives, spending more time with spirituality. And that 100% should be in my opinion, the first thing that people do. If you don't have your shit together with your God, if you don't have your shit together with your fitness and your health and your sleeping and your mental state, then the rest of it's going to be pointless. Once you're starting to work on those things, I think we're at a better place now where we can start to focus on organizational strengths and really focusing on building in organizational strengths, and how to do that is with something like Strength Finders. And so I'll probably end up doing that again and integrating it into the businesses. But off the top of my head, I don't remember what my strengths are. And that's not the point as it relates to creativity. What I want to go back to this and why this is so important is because it takes this concept of cross training. So in physical activity, when you cross train, you are, if you're a runner, you'll probably do some weight training, cross train with that, or maybe you'll do some biking or something along those lines. So cross training is using these other concepts of training something to increase your main overall creativity. And so that's one of the reasons why I think that we should spend more time on learning the things that make that we enjoy that are creative outlets. So for me, it would be like writing, or it would be doing poetry or music or art or theater, or learning more about that and doing more of it, right? Doing more music writing, doing more writing and more poetry, because those are those other things that I'm okay at that could be better. And when I strengthen those other creative outlets, then my creativity in general will increase, and that will allow me to have my creative juices flowing more and being more innovative. So if we're thinking about something that we can do to increase our innovation and increase our creativity, the first things that we need to do is have a pad that we can just jot down, have regular time where we think about innovation. Okay. And then we need to be cross-training our creativity, whether that is through photography, whether it's through music writing, whether it's through playwriting, through art, through ceramics, through what's the oh man, my mind went blank, through sculpting, right? There's all kinds of things. Just go on an art website and look and see different types of art things. Anything that uses creative juices that you're not using right now, that will strengthen your overall innovation, because when you're doing those things, you're triggering a different part of your brain, one, and you are actively trying to create something new in the world. And that's what innovation is about, which then leads us to the next thing that you should be doing with innovation is in sitting down on a regular basis during, say, a think week and trying to figure out how to solve different types of problems, right? So the idea is to get into a regular space where we're jotting down innovations to get our innovation flowing. The second thing that's really, really important is then doing something that's separate from what we normally do to kind of cross train our creative juices. And then the third thing that we need to do is spend time on a regular basis where we block out time and we can do deep thinking and brainstorming and planning on how to move things forward and kind of how we're going to do this into the future. And when we're doing those things, that's when we can just think of, oh, what are these new ideas and what are the things that we can be doing? And then we set regular time to work on those specific things. Okay. And some of the other things that boost this is kind of cultivating a curiosity. So embrace a curious mindset. Ask, what if I was able to do this? What if I could do this? We have to foster an open culture within our families, within our businesses, within our environments. We have to encourage sharing ideas and diverse perspectives, create an environment where experimentation is valued, right? And Google used to do this really well. I don't know if they do it anymore, but they allotted people a specific amount of time to just work on whatever they wanted to work on. Okay. But these are the things that we need to do inside of our business, inside of our families to encourage this type of innovation. Because again, one of my key themes for me moving into the future is going to be innovation is the key to the growth of a family, to a business, of a society, of a government. And those things have to be actively worked on. And then again, we all need to learn from failure. We need to treat failures as learning opportunities, use them to refine our diet or ideas and iterate. And that's why those think weeks are so important. And then the plans in place to do that, and then kind of like a process in place to go back and look at what we kind of did and what we talked about. And then one of the biggest things that we can be doing along with these activities that I mentioned, the jotting them down, the cross training and creativity, and in the Think Week and the planning, is invest in knowledge and skills. We have to continuously learn and develop our creative abilities, right? And so that's why that second step of doing a cross training is so important. But on top of that, increasing our knowledge about innovation in the world, right? So obviously, when I'm talking about creating your juices, that's so that we can innovate things that are in the world, and we need to be up on the times of the things that are going to be important in the world. And the two most important things that I think that are coming out in the world today are going to be still augmented reality, virtual reality, one. Then the second thing is going to be our ability to understand artificial intelligence, to be involved with artificial intelligence. We should all be moving forward in some capacity, utilizing and inventing things in artificial intelligence to push that industry forward. And then also quantum computing. I read a great piece on quantum computing on the way here, and that's why, again, I'm so adamant that people spend time reading newspapers, because they get insights into all kinds of things that are happening in the world. And I think that VR, AI, and quantum computing are going to be the biggest things that are going to be moving us forward in the world, and which means that those are opportunities for businesses to get into, or to be a part of, or to provide services in, that are going to be a great revenue growth, to be a part of revenue diversification and growth here in the future. Okay, so we have to invest in all that knowledge and skills along with those other things that I said, like cultivating curiosity, fostering an open culture in our families, businesses, and governments, learning from failure. And then we have to embrace rapid prototyping. So at some point and this is one thing that I suck at, I do not move fast enough sometimes. And I think that that's not necessarily because I don't move fast. It's just because there are like 40 people, I feel sometimes, that are asking me to do multiple things. And so I get pulled in lots of different directions, which makes it very difficult for me to then, focus on some of these other things that are going to be moving the needle forward a lot more, right? And so there are things that we want to do with Merlin that I've been thinking about more and more and more, and how can we get those on a roadmap? How can we organize that structure and get it moved forward? And we have to figure out how to do those things in a manner. It can't always just be, yes, we need to have a good, tight understanding of our expenses, keep them under control, and the finance piece of it. I get that. But we also have to have some really good processes in place for our roadmaps, the people that are working on the services that are coming out for our businesses like Merlin. What's the communication that's going out into the public, whether it's all of my businesses or just Merlin, because that's what I'm talking about at this specific moment. And so that's why a lot of these things are super, super important. But the first things that you need to do, if there's anything to take away from this, is get a pad that's just an innovative idea pad, and just 30 minutes a week. That's all it takes. 20 minutes a week. Write down innovative ideas. Just put it on your calendar. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put it on my calendar. I'm going to sit and I'm going to innovate and think of cool ideas and put them in this paper. And what I'm going to do is write it in a way in which I can reread it, because I just read through the notes and they were very hard to read. So make sure that you can read it. The second thing is figure out what it is that you can cross-train in, that you enjoy doing, that you think that you're okay at, that you could get better at, to get your creative juices better, to create your creativity better, to get that going. For me, I think music's going to be the main one, and then probably maybe photography, or learning, more digital skills in the Adobe sphere, like InDesign and Illustrator and things of that nature, and then create on them, or possibly poetry writing, because I enjoy poetry and things of that nature, because I'm a Libra and ruled by Venus. Okay, and so then once that's done, then the biggest thing is making sure that you're setting out a long week to go deeper into some of these concepts, into some of these ideas, into some of these projects, so that you can make sure that you are thinking about them, learning about new things in that time frame, and then putting a plan in place on the things that you want to work on and focus on. And so with that, as I always say, be thankful, grateful, and kind, and we'll talk with you next time. Bye.
Let all my gardens speak for me when I'm gone. Sing for me like a song from your heart, in your chest. Take your rest.
Thank you so much for listening to The Age of Jeremy. Make sure that you like and subscribe to this podcast wherever you get it, and share it with as many people as possible so we can have it all over the world, and it will be amazing. I changed the opening song last week. The opening song is Gaslight Anthem Positive Charge, and our closing song is Trevor Hall's Gardens. I use a Neumann microphone still. I'm recording into my Zoom L8, which I love. I record to Steinberg's Cubase, and I use Waves plugins. And one last time, be thankful, grateful, and kind. Namo Mitabutsu. Bye.